So what I'm going to do today is talk about this one idea because it's such a major shift and break it down in two parts. First, I'm going to talk about the underlying causes why I think that we are moving away from the attention economy and moving into the intention economy. And then I'm going to provide you with some strategies to succeed in this new playing field of the intention economy. I'm going to begin today with some numbers. 2015 is the year mobile searches overpass desktop. 2019, 2 years from now, over half of the planet will have access to the internet. 1 in 8 people would give up in-flight restrooms for in-flight wireless. You know who you are. You know who you are. 80% of the world's internet traffic will be video by 2019. 3.3 billion hours are watched on YouTube every month. Why am I sharing these numbers with you? Well, I'm sharing these numbers because we as human beings tend to perceive things in a linear fashion. The challenge is that the adoption and development of technology occurs at an exponential rate. For you math wizards here, linear goes 1, 2, 4. Exponential progression goes 1, 2, 4, 16. Which virtually leads us, human beings, to always overestimate the near term and underestimate the long term, which leads to long periods of disappointment, but also long periods of amazement, like I'm showing here. This is why the joke that for many years, people would proclaim, this is the year of the internet. And then in 2015, people seem to realize that, hey, I think that was the year of the internet. But the story is much bigger than this. The 40th step in a linear progression is 40. The 40th step in an exponential progression is 1 trillion. And yes, it is true that mobile has changed everything. But it's only Act 1. So people ask me, so what comes after mobile? What's next? You probably want to know. Machine learning, artificial intelligence is true. It is set to drive the next revolution in this industry. But the view that's coming in, the future is an acceleration of what we are seeing today. So if we press pause and stop to think for a minute, I really believe that what's coming, it's as exciting as everything we've seen since the start of the internet, if not even more exciting. All right, so if we were to think big picture, what we see is, in a very striking and obvious way, just how much of a game changer mobile really is. If you guys think about the early days of television, when you would sit in the living room with your family watching maybe black and white TV, that's how I grew up. This is probably what you would have in mind. At the time, as an advertiser, what you would be paying for is viewership. People are still watching TV. However, this very same picture looks very different as people's attention is now distributed across multiple devices. And because of this, what I would argue is that your toughest competition may not be the agent or the broker sitting next to you or in your neighborhood. It's Netflix, it's Candy Crush. We're all fighting for attention. And back to my questions, what comes after mobile? What's the next big thing? I encourage you to stop watching the technology and start watching your customers. So, John Green said it best, if you want to stay in the eyeball business, that's fine. But you risk losing relevance with an entire generation of people who are looking to video and, frankly, any platform, whether it's print, traditional media, if it's digital, who are looking for not just distraction, but they're looking for connection. They are looking for engagement. What we're seeing today is that we are moving away from the attention economy, which is what we're paying for when we pay for viewership, and we're moving into the intention economy, earning our customers' willingness to engage. And I chose my words very carefully. It's earning willingness to engage. So I'm only going to talk about one idea today, but this is a big one because I think it's the biggest thing since the advent of television, of mass media. In fact, I think it's bigger than mobile, although mobile has a lot to do with it. As marketers, we're having increasingly a harder and harder time to buy attention. It's getting really tough. Therefore, marketers are now competing over intention, over getting people to want to engage with us. So, what I'm going to do today is talk about this one idea because it's such a major shift and break it down in two parts. First, I'm going to talk about the underlying causes why I think that we are moving away from the attention economy and moving into the intention economy. And then I'm going to provide you with some strategies to succeed in this new playing field of the intention economy. All right, let's think about this man. This guy is Ricky Jackson. Ricky Jackson is believed to be the longest person to have served a sentence for wrong incarceration. The guy spent 39 years in jail. He was put behind bars when he was 18 for murder in Cleveland, Ohio. Terrible thing. He was released about 2 years ago. The state of Ohio paid the guy $1 million. Frankly, I'm not sure there's any kind of compensation for those years lost behind bars. Just imagine what you would do once you're released out of jail. The guy goes and buys a cell phone. And let's be honest, if we were to be on Titanic today, this is what it would look like. Our devices have become so accessible and such second nature to us that they feel more like an extension of ourselves. When we don't find our cell phones, it's like we lost a limb, right? We're all panicked. And in fact, how many of you today checked your phones before you even got out of bed today? How many of you checked your messages before, after I started, this talk a few minutes ago, right? I know a lot of you. We check our phones on average of 150 times a day. That's a lot, right? So we have a very, very personal relationships with our phones. We give our phones a ton of information about ourselves. But in exchange, we expect for our phones to understand us and to answer our needs, sometimes before we even know what they are, which has a very profound implication on whether or not somebody is going to engage with your content, with your ad. So I'm going to offer you some strategies here. And I know these seem like very simple ideas, but I tell you guys, they're really important, and they each matter. You gotta make it personal, you gotta be specific, you have to answer a need, and they have to choose you. We no longer live in a push marketplace. People wanna pull content. All right, make it personal. I'm gonna go through each one little by little. everything we do on our phones is driven by intent, right? We need something. We want to look for directions to a house. We want to see how to fix something, right? So everything is intent-based. Therefore, if you're going to engage with a customer, it has to be very personal. We often make very broad assumptions about who our target audience is. But the data often paints a very different picture. We assume, right, we associate sports with men, when in fact, over 60% of the sporting goods buyers are female. We assume that games are for kids, when in fact, 45% of the video game buyers are over the age of 35. We assume that women are homemakers, when in fact 40% of the home goods are researched by men. And finally, we associate cars with men, and many of you ladies here in the room, like I did, I went to a dealership and they asked me where my husband was. It's true, guys, it is. 60% of the home searchers are female. The insights that these numbers reveal are that when we make assumptions about our demographics, we risk two important things. One, we risk sending messaging to people who have no interest in our product. But even worse, we risk missing out on a very big segment of our population. The good news is that you don't have to play the guessing game. Machine learning today is extremely powerful, and it's a reality today. At Google, through machine learning, we're able to analyze 70 million signals within a blink of an eye, literally. And what the signals do, it's really, really important. We're able to separate interest from intent. There's a big difference between the two, guys. Just because somebody wants to know the value of their property does not mean that that person wants to sell their house. Interest and intent are very different things. Therefore, it's really important to know what people are intending to do, not what they're interested in. So what we're doing at Google today was we're moving away from demographics. Yes, they are important, but they are not sufficient. So instead of just looking for a male who's within a certain age group, who may be living in a certain zip code, we take that, but we now layer intent on top of it, and we say, okay, now this person, in addition to these demographics, is interested in a certain neighborhood or in a certain school district. They clicked on the second article of Tuesday's email you sent out. They're interested in a two-bedroom, two-bath. Do you see how much more powerful that is? And then we're able to create, through machine learning, through pattern recognitions, audience just like this person. All right, so now that you're able to better target your audience, you have to be specific. People are still turning to Google for just about every question under the sun. But what we're noticing is that people are getting a lot more specific. So for some of you who on the plane may have played Candy Crush, Danielle, Leonard, you will know that on Candy Crush level 34 alone, there's 31,000 results just for that one level. So people are getting much more specific, which means that if you're going to put content out there, and if you want people to find it and find you, you have to be very specific. So people are still looking for things like find a real estate agent, but even more so, they're looking for find a real estate agent near me. And in fact, near me searches, not only in real estate, but in just about every vertical, have grown 130% year on year, right? That's a lot. you can't really see this screen, but for fun, I wanted to see if I looked for a realtor near me. I was at home. This is what came up in Google. So what I really love about this is the fact that the algorithm, the query, the search query, although I was looking for a realtor, was smart enough to know that although I want an agent, ultimately what I want is a property, is a home. So although I looked for an agent, it gave me some agents up top, but on the same page, on the first page, it gave me properties. And not only properties and listings, but it also gave me open houses within a day or two of my time, and also within my geo. I think this is an amazing experience for a user. And from that very search page, I can click on the open house. It's going to take me to the house listing. I can see pictures, information, where it is, who's the agent. And then I can click on the map, and it takes me to the map. And by the way, this is not a paid ad. This is organic Google search. Which takes me to this important idea that you have to answer a need. Every interaction you have with your customer or with a potential customer is value exchange. They came to you because they have a need, and you have the opportunity to meet that need. This is when a customer would lean into your brand, when you're able to answer a need. So, how do you do that? People are searching for what questions, but also people are getting more interested in why. In fact, why queries have grown 1.5 as fast as what queries. And this reminds me of a brilliant insight that Simon Sinek had, which is people are not only buying what you do, they also buy why you do it. And because I was having fun with this, I wanted to see what were people searching for in 2015 versus 2017. All right, I got to move on that one fast. All right, so people want to know why. Why do I need a realtor? Why do I want to buy versus renting? These are great opportunities for you to provide value to a potential client for your brand to show up in a moment of need. How-to searches are also on the rise. We see a substantial increase on how-to searches because also people want to know, how do I find an agent, or different other things before they're ready to actually go buy that property. And to you, the why and the how may not seem like a big deal at all, but this is really important. When you answer the why, when you answer the how, now you stop interacting what people are interested in, and you become what people are interested in. This is how you reach consumers in a world of distractions, when everything competes with you on your cell phone. Everything and anything that a phone can do competes with you. All right, so if you are specific and personal, if you're able to provide value to your clients, I promise you that people will choose you and people will love you.
Hey, it's Coach Tom Ferry. Have you been considering hiring a coach? If so, click the link below and check out what we do.